All right, what is up, guys? In this video today, it's going to be on if you need to get to 12% body fat by the summer, then definitely watch this video. So I'm going to go over the basic fundamentals of a calorie deficit, how to actually lose body fat so you can get to that 12% by the summer. And it's going to be very simple at first, but then I want to get into some very optimized things that you can do, like even past a calorie deficit. Like, obviously, that still matters, of course, but things that you can do in that calorie deficit to make fat loss happen more than just weight loss. Like, you don't like calorie deficit's only going to be weight lost off of your body, but we want to optimize for that fat loss. And then if you're doing things correctly, even build some muscle or at least just retain everything that you have. It's going to be the best of both worlds for doing this in the fastest way possible. So let's get into this. So who is this actually for? So number one, if you're not 100% happy with how you look shirtless, like if you ever take your shirt off, maybe look at yourself in the mirror and wish that you looked better or just felt better about yourself, then this is definitely going to help you out. If you're over 15% body fat and looking to get leaner actively for the summer, then definitely watch this video. If you want to finally make a change with your physique, maybe you've been thinking about it for a while, maybe you really want to take this more seriously for the summer, then this is definitely going to help you out as well. And then if you can actually follow directions on what to do. So I'm going to give you pretty implementable things in this video, but if you can't apply it and just actually follow a plan to get the result that you want to, then I mean, it's going to be pretty hard for you to do anything in life. So definitely make sure that you can follow things that I lay out and you'll get a good result from this. So the truth about actually getting lean fast. So getting to 12% body fat, it can take some time. And most of the times, like I used to do before, like I would feel like shit, honestly, like trash in the process because I would just do things incorrectly. Like I would just crash my calories a ton, add a ton of cardio in, like trying to do things like too fast, which you do want to be like fast with this. Like it's a process, of course. You're not going to get to 12% body fat tomorrow, but it doesn't have to feel so bad because if you're doing things correctly, like controlling where that deficit comes from and actually keeping energy high, then like I'll get into in the video, but you can change a few things just to make it a way better process for yourself and just make it as fast as possible. And then calories in versus calories out is only the surface. So you really want to optimize for faster fat loss, like I said in the beginning of this video, while keeping slash even building muscle in the process. So like the deficit's always going to be the most important thing, of course. I'm not going to say that you cannot do this like with a calorie deficit in place, but truly there is way more optimization that you can do, which let's just get into the video. I want to actually explain this. So the system that we're going to follow is number one, fundamentals first, like actually knowing how to actually cut, at a fundamental level, then finding your proper pace just based on where you're starting from. Then, like I keep mentioning, the deeper optimization, those variables that you can actually implement or just control based on, the actual things which work with your human body. And then number four is precision and execution. So knowing how to actually properly implement the system, what to do when things go off, and just how to execute and like just be on course as much as you can. So first off, we have the fundamentals. So number one, obviously, you need a calorie deficit to make this happen. You're not going to lose any body fat or any weight in general if you're not going to be in a deficit of energy. So you have your energy expenditure and then your energy intake. This should be always higher than your intake because you actually want to lose this weight. And then macros used properly. So this goes into my macronutrient structures that I teach in my other videos as well, but I'll also get into it in the deeper optimization. Just knowing how to use macronutrients such as protein, like always keeping protein high, very fundamental things, but like using carbs for your training and not just randomly throughout the day, and then keeping fats adequate to actually have those hormones in place and just have high energy, high testosterone, all these different things that come from cholesterol and fats in the first place. Then, of course, training stimulus should be in check. So, like actually going to the gym and still trying to progress on your lifts. Like, you're not going to build muscle if you're not going to progress on your strength or in the gym, like however you want to do it. You want to be showing up with full intensity. And there's a certain way you can train just based on stimulus versus fatigue and going a little bit higher intensity, lower volume, especially when you're in a deficit because you don't have as much energy coming in. And then recovery is always going to have to be in check. So getting good sleep. I've made other videos on sleep as well. Like it's very, very fundamental and very crucial to get this right because if you don't have good sleep, like all of these systems and like parts of the equation will not matter because you just cannot recover from what you're doing and you're just going to lose muscle and not lose as much fat in the first place. So I drew this little graph right here. This is basically explaining where you want to be in your calorie deficit. So right here we have maintenance calories, whatever that is for you. You can find this, I give this to my clients as well, but like you can find this very specifically for yourself just based on a few different equations and just tracking data over time. But you want to find your maintenance in the first place. And then there's going to be a maximum deficit that you can get into, right? So anything in this range right here is going to be that calorie deficit that we want to aim for here. But you don't want to go past this point because you're going to risk losing a lot of muscle. But it is going to be like faster, you can say fat loss, like it is going to lose fat faster, but it's not worth it in the end because you're just going to lose strength, lose muscle, and it's just not going to be what we actually want to accomplish with getting lean for the summer. Like it's not going to be the points if you're just going to be a smaller version of yourself. You just want to keep muscle in place, keep calories at a certain level, just based on specifically like where it depends on like where you are for you. But just know that this like rule happens when you have this maximum deficit there. And then kind of tying into this is the finding your pace part. So you want to know where your starting point is. So based on how far you are away from the 10 to 12% body fat, you can really calculate your precise caloric target based on where you are. So based on where you're starting from here, it kind of ties into this part. Like obviously if you're starting closer to that 12%, then you can get away with a little bit more and you can actually build way more muscle doing this because you have more total energy coming into the system. But if you have less energy coming in, like if your calories are a little bit lower, I would recommend this if you're starting a little bit higher. But you do have to just know that you're not going to be building as much muscle as you can with this in place here. But it's just a give and trade. Like you have to know where you are, know your exact goal, like that 10 to 12 spot, like where you actually want to be by the summer. And then you can calculate your precise caloric target based in this range. And then also implementing like the macronutrient structures, which I'll get into as well. But it's very specific to the individual, right? Like you don't want to just follow like a cookie cutter generic plan because you're just not going to get the best results for you. Specifically, like everyone starts from different places. Everyone has different height and weight and like metabolisms and like how your body, like metabolizes certain foods. Like you can obviously change that based on your diet and your recovery, but you really want to be precise with what you do to make this the best plan for you specifically. So getting into the deeper optimizations, like past calories in, calories out, this is what you actually want to focus on. So like I said in the beginning as well, like macronutrient structures, this is basically timing protein, carbs, and fats based around when you train. So I drew this little graph here as well. So this yellow represents when you go to the gym and when you lift. And then these red is your insulin spikes in the day. So protein and carbs in that pre-workout meal, and then protein and carbs in that post-workout meal when you're having the most amount of carbs, protein, and lowest fats to not disrupt the digestion there. Having the biggest insulin spike post-workout, and then this blue line represents the insulin sensitivity. So you're going to be way more insulin sensitive after this workout. So you want to have the majority of your carbohydrates spiking insulin the highest, and then a little bit of an insulin spike before the workout just to prevent muscle breakdown and give yourself some glucose for the workout as well. And then protein and fats outside of the workout window. You're going to have a negligible insulin spike, but I wouldn't really count it as like a spike in insulin just because it's coming from protein alone. And then fats to get the hormones in place. That goes into insulin timing. So like how this works, these kind of work together as well. And then training stimulus versus fatigue. So you can pretty much adjust your workout plan based on your caloric deficit. So it is a little bit different if you're gaining like in a surplus or if you're in a deficit. So for the purpose of this video, you want to be like really focused on, you could do high frequency, but you want to do lower volume and higher intensity. So like you don't want to do too much volume because like I said as well, you have less energy coming in. You're not going to be in that surplus. You can't recover as much as you like need to for that higher volume, but you still can recover like enough with lower volume to build muscle. So you just want to adjust it accordingly based on how many calories you're eating, like how your body responds to recovery. And that's why, again, sleep is so important as well in this. Everything works as a system. Like it's not like one thing that you just do and then you get that result. It's like everything stacks on top of each other, just like using these deeper optimization principles. And then energy expenditure is always going to be higher than the intake, right? But there's different deficits that you can do. So you want to have expenditure as high as possible so you can have the highest intake to match that expenditure as well. So I drew this little thing out right here. So these are the same calorie deficits. Like let's say this is 3,000 and this is 2,500. This might be 2,000 and then 1,500, which is pretty low, but it's going to be a different result just based on how much you're actually expending and how much you can actually take in. Because if you can eat more food, if you can have more energy in the day, then you can just recover more, but you're still going to be in the same deficit. You're still losing the same amount of weight, but more energy is coming in every single day, giving yourself more nutrients, more energy. Everything's just at a properly functioning at a proper level. And then last thing here is the post-workout meal. So right here, this is going to be the most important meal of the day by far. This is when you're the most insulin sensitive. So kind of going deeper into this, you want to have the majority of your protein, majority of your carbs, glucose focused to really take advantage of the GLUT4, and then just have low fats in this as well. Like you really want to take advantage of the timing here. Like when you're the most insulin sensitive is when you want to have the most calories, most nutrients, so you can actually start building muscle in that caloric deficit. It's like building like a local surplus when you're the most insulin sensitive, when you can absorb the most nutrients coming in, like it shows in this graph. And then outside of this, like you're still in a calorie deficit here, but when you can absorb the most nutrients, that's when you're having the most coming in. So you can actually absorb them and actually start building muscle in this local time right here. So it's pretty deep things if you've never heard of this before, but it truly does work. I've done this for myself. I've done like recomps where I'm losing body fat, I'm gaining muscle at the same time. So I can guarantee you like this does work. If you time this correctly, if you optimize how you should, then you can actually get this result as well. So going a little bit deeper into optimization, even more things you can do. So zone 2 cardio, it's going to be a really good benefit for number one, insulin sensitivity, tying back into this. So this blue line here, like you can pretty much raise this up here, like the baseline insulin sensitivity you have from doing zone 2 cardio, which is like very low intensity, very slow, whatever form of cardio you like to do. I like to do running personally, but whatever cardio you like to do, it's going to be really beneficial for that. Obviously, expending more energy as well. There's a lot of benefits that go into zone 2. And the protocol for this that I like to do is, it depends on your schedule, of course, but you want to do at least 3 times a week. Like that's like the minimum you want to do for like 30 minutes. I personally like to do like 4 to 5 times a week. I'm doing like 30 to 40 minutes per session. And it truly it doesn't take that much time. Like you're doing it pretty quick. And especially if you're doing like the low volume in the gym, you're going to be less time in the gym and then you can have more time for cardio. So you just get the best benefits of both worlds from that. And then intermittent fasting. So this is good again for insulin sensitivity. Like you want to be able to absorb the most nutrients to muscles. Like that actually the energy deficit is only coming from fat. That's like the main point of doing all of this in the first place. And then metabolic flexibility, this is your ability to switch from burning carbs for fuel and then burning fat as well. So like you want to be able to tap into your body fat. Like this is kind of how it works. Like it starts with lipolysis, which is you breaking down your stored body fat that you have and then oxidating those fats that you just broke down into actual energy that you can use for the body. So if this isn't happening in the first place, you can have the same calorie deficit, but you're not using the actual body fat that you have for energy. So you want to be able to switch from carbs to fat pretty easily, tap into fat oxidation. And then another big part of this as well is the endocrine system as a whole. So the main driver here is going to be testosterone. Like that's the biggest one. You're going to build more muscle and lose more fat the higher testosterone you have. But there's also a lot of other hormones that go into the endocrine system, such as thyroid, insulin growth like factor 1, growth hormone. Like there's so many different things that you can really optimize and play around with just based on like your diet, like different lifestyle factors, a lot of different things that you can do to maximize this. And it's going to have, again, the biggest benefit. Like you can, again, this always maximize like expenditure as well. So like if you're having higher testosterone, higher thyroid, it's only going to boost your metabolism at a fundamental level. So this part right here is going to be way easier for yourself as well. Like you can have more food and you're still going to be in the same deficit, but just having more energy in the body as well. And then last thing here is recovery optimization. So kind of going back to like the sleep, there's more things that you can do based on your diet, like having certain nutrients, micronutrients in place that all goes into recovery, like even hitting the sauna. The biggest one is going to be sleep. Like if you don't have sleep as a foundation, you cannot build muscle and like lose body fat the way that you want to. So like really optimizing for recovery and optimization for that part as well. And the last thing here is the precision and execution. So systems will always beat your feelings. So you really want to have this like systematized into your schedule and like how you actually like operate throughout your day, right? So like we all have different schedules, we all have different times that we go to the gym, obligations throughout the day like work or school or business or whatever you do. You want to make sure that you can plan workouts, eating times based on those workouts and with your schedule, and like plan accordingly with your protocols that you're doing throughout the day. And you don't want to go off of the feelings, because you don't want to go like to the gym only when you feel like it and then like eat certain foods like off of feelings. You really want to have a proper system in place, because you're just going to get the best benefits from that. And then off days, so we always have off days. Like even myself, I'm not going to be perfect 24/7, and I'm not going to be like super like 100% adherent to the things that I do, but I'm going to be like as close as possible, right? But these off days always happen. So when they do happen, you want to always just get right back on track when they happen. Like it's going to be inevitable for you to have one day where you might be in a surplus or just not follow everything, to a T. But after that day is done, just accept that it happened, and then you can just go right back on track. Don't make it like too big of a deal that then it has to be. Like you want to just make continual progress. You can get to that 12% for the summer as fast as you can. You don't want to like stall your progress for no reason. And then having this long-term mindset. So I used to have this very short-term mindset in my cutting or my bulking as well, where I would just like really crash calories. I would add in a ton of cardio, like do as much as I can to just make the biggest caloric deficit that I can so I can just lose a ton of fat. And I thought I would just like get super lean, which I did, but I'd also lose a ton of muscle. And in the long run, it's never going to be worth it. Like you always want to be very controlled, very precise with what you do. And that way you can have the biggest benefit, even in the long run, even past the summer. Like you want to set yourself up for the longest term progress possible, because I'm in the gym for the rest of my life, right? Like I want to keep going to the gym for years and decades to come. So just doing these little short bursts of calorie deficits and calorie surpluses, that's going to give me quick results, but like not in the long run, is never going to be worth it for me. So like I can assume that you're the same way. Like you want to actually make long-term progress. So you actually want to have that mindset and make sure that you're not just focusing on very short yo-yo diets and like going back and forth with what you're doing. And the last thing is data and adjustments. So like once you're doing the plan, like once you're executing on what you need to do with your workouts, with your diet, with your nutrition, hitting calories, like timing certain foods correctly, using the macronutrient structures, all these different things, you're going to start getting data of like how your body responds to the weight loss, how your energy feels, like the fat loss that's coming on, maybe like some water weights coming off at first. Like there's a lot of different things that you can adjust for. And then based on that, you can kind of micro manage the plan that you have, adjust different variables so you can start making better progress. If things are stalling, then you can obviously like go a little bit steeper into a deficit, like maybe add a little bit more cardio or steps into your day. There's a lot of different things that you can play around with, but always know that there's certain things that you can change if you're not making the progress that you want to. Like it's always inputs equal to outputs. Like if you're doing something wrong with the inputs, that will always reflect into the output that you get based on the progress that you're making or how you feel in the process. And there's always certain things that you can adjust to make that the best possible way. Like you really want to master the adjustments, because they always happen. Like it's never going to be like perfectly linear to get to that goal. So always make sure that you're adjusting accordingly to the plan. So if you guys want to work with me, like obviously I do coaching. I give you guys the actual system that I use, working with about 7 guys right now as we speak. So if you guys want to work with me, I'll leave the call link in the description. Basically giving you guys like all the systems like that I teach in my videos, everything that I went to, like very systematized things that you can just like not even think about, just execute on, like the things that I give you. So if you guys want to work with me, I'll leave that there. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like, if there's a lot that you really want to implement, especially these two slides right here. Like, if you can master these two slides and like pass the calorie deficit, then you're gonna make a lot better progress and just have way more energy for yourself as well. So hope you guys enjoyed this. I'll see you guys in the next one.